welcome everybody to an impromptu conference call with YOYO, who is the BOINC admin of YOYO and Yahoo. Both projects are whitelisted in Gridcoin. And and now we will proceed like reading the prepared questions already. Perhaps the first question which I have is if YOYO wants to introduce himself a little bit more about like how he came to do the projects, and if he, for example, studied the topics. YOYO, can you please?
Okay, but it might be longer, maybe. Don't know.
Okay, no problem.
Because the startup of this project was, let's say, unconventional. So at least for me. So I was doing volunteer distributed computing for 10 years. So providing my CPU resources even before BOINC and for ZETI. For that. For instance, for the Great Internet Mersenne Prime Search project or for distributed.net. But after 10 years, I thought, because I studied information technology. After 10 years doing that, I thought it would be interesting to see behind the scenes. So what is a BOINC, what is the project server doing? How is it giving out work units? How is it ensuring that the results are correct? What it is doing when, a result doesn't return, and so on and so on. So I joined the BOINC mailing list to have a look what is happening behind the scenes, and was reading this for some weeks and months. And then Christian Beer showed up on that mailing list. I didn't know him before. That he provides a virtual machine with a BOINC server inside. And I said, okay, that is good. Then I don't need to set up a server. I just use this virtual machine to run the BOINC project and to see how it is working. And at the time that this virtual machine was ready, I used it. I started it on my former laptop. So this laptop was, 500 megabyte RAM and maybe a single core, and don't know how much the disk was. And I started this virtual machine. And after a weekend, this BOINC project was there and was doing uppercase application. So a very scientific application which converts lowercase characters into uppercase. And I could learn how the work units are handled, how they are sent out, what happens if they do not return, and so on, and all that stuff. And since I had to give a name to that project, I didn't want to name it test, because, it's stupid somehow. So I just used my name, my alias in the internet, and just called it YOYO at home. And yes, after a weekend, this was running. I said, oh, cool, that was easy. What do next? then I listened again to that mailing list, and David Anderson wrote that he's developing a wrapper where you can run you can run applications which are not BOINC applications, so which you might have already in the BOINC environment, and send out these applications to the volunteers. And I know very good this distributed.net client. I know that this is available for a lot of operating systems, even operating systems which you didn't heard before, and which has a very big, which has many options to configure it. And I said, okay, let's wait for the wrapper and try to run this distributed.net application in the wrapper in the BOINC world. And then the wrapper was there. And I used that distributed.net client, and after the next weekend, it was running. So, was fast. What happens? What do now? So, and then I also communicated with David to improve the wrapper, which had some bugs and some missing features for me and so on. Yes, and then the first application, the Ogre application was running. I was never interested in this RC5 thingy, what they are doing. I think this is a bit stupid, because it's consuming too much time to finish this project. And the goal was to show that with internet connected computers, you can break an RC5 in some ending time, let's say. So therefore, I just concentrated on the Ogre. every day on my daily work, so I'm doing that not full time here, I'm doing that just in my spare time, but every day on my normal job I checked if the BOINC server is still running. And once a day, at one time, on one day, the server was gone. No more reachable. I know my wife was at home, so I called her and asked what is with that laptop. Oh, your laptop was totally overloaded, so I shut it down and restarted it. Crap! Oops! So, so then I decided with members of Rechenkraft.net that we move from my laptop to an own server. So I moved the BOINC server to the Rechenkraft.net server, so the server which handles the web page and the forum, and the server was running then there after a night of work, let's say, and even that server was not big. It was just single core with maybe 1 gig RAM, even less, I think, and then it was running there. So and it was doing so, and then after some time, a big German team, I think the biggest one at that time, SETI Germany, came to me, wrote me an email. We are planning to be number one in your project, and a lot of people and a lot of computer will hit your project and ask for work. Is your project able to handle that? No, try it. I didn't know what to answer, so I said try it, and I will more closely look into the server, what is going on at that time. So then they were doing their race, and the server was, or their attacking number one, which was not any problem. But 2 weeks later, a big French team, Alliance Francophone, wrote me an email. Oh, we saw that SETI Germany is number one on your project, but we want to be number one. And they attacked also my server. And okay, SETI German reacted back, and so I had a race of the big teams of Alliance Francophone and SETI Germany on my server. Yeah, no problem until now. Then I was on a business trip in another town in Germany, in Munich, and I had some time at the airport, and I checked the server. And I checked the server, no server anymore. So no, has gone. So I entered the chat of Rechenkraft.net and asked what happens with the server. And the guys said, oh, the server was very, very loaded. So our single CPU server had a load of, 20 or 30. So we had to shut down the BOINC server. Oh, that is bad. What can we do? So, yeah, we need to separate it. We need to run it on a separate server. And just in that half an hour on the airport, we decided to rent an additional server. I said, okay, I pay half of the yearly fee. Who is paying the another part? And then in 30 hours, we decided, okay, let's rent another server. And after a weekend, we moved it to a second server. What happened at that time was that these work units of Ogre are not predictable in their runtime. So they might run a minute or even 50 hours. So at that time where the big teams made their race, it happened that the work units get very short. Is it short, right? Okay, short, yes. And so there were, thousands of computers always requesting new work. And the server still was not able to handle it. So therefore gets overloaded. So in the meantime, I have much experience how to make the server, let's say, performant enough to handle such a traffic. My server, afterwards, the server was still a single core server with just 1 gigabyte of RAM and only 75 gig of disk. And I found that that it's very important to keep the BOINC database very small. So therefore, I have only less amount of unsent work units on my servers. I have some let's say jobs they're running which checks if there is the amount of work units which are unsent goes below a threshold, and then if yes, then I generate new ones. And even I delete work units which have finished very fast, and even faster in race times. So currently, I think on YOYO the deletion is after 5 days. But if there's a big race, then I go down to 1 hour or something like that. This keeps still the server runnable, let's say. Yes, afterwards, now the YOYO server is running on I think a 2-core system with 2 gig of RAM, not more. That's sufficient. So something maybe which application are additionally running now on the YOYO server. The server. Or let's say I'm not the scientist who does the scientific work. So the YOYO server is more or less a wrapper between scientific applications from other guys and the BOINC world. So I'm just let's say a proxy for them. So I looked for projects or for scientists who needs a lot of computational work, and I try to integrate this application into YOYO at Home. So there we have now, additional to that mentioned Aura application, we have also elliptic curve factorization, which alone handles work units for, 6, 7, or 8 different mathematical problems. There is this muon application, which simulates a particle accelerator. There's an evolution at home application which simulates some how populations are evolving, and some applications which finished already. So yes, so and I open to, and sometimes people are coming who says, "Hey, can I run my application on your project?" And then I cooperate with them, and we agree which features this application has to have for the BOINC world. So how long is a work unit? What about checkpoints? How we assure that a result is valid, and such things. What additionally? So I checked now my news section, and I see that the project is now 10 years old, more or less. So in May it is 10 years old. So the first news item was from May 10 years ago, and I switched from a volunteer to the project admin. And in the first weeks, let's say, I had sometimes sleepless nights because something went wrong. Don't know, maybe credits were not granted properly, or application crashed, and there was a lot of loud blaming on the forum against me, which leads to sleepless night for me. In the meantime, I'm reluctant against that, let's say. So I learned it, and I also learned that I have to communicate very open, even also for problems. So just to say, I say just, this is a problem, therefore that and that is not going, or that and that is not working, and mostly the people understand that. Even if I say, okay, I need more money because for that and that, otherwise I can't do that, or I can't continue the project, and then usually someone pops up to spend some money, or I need some programming help for a screensaver, and somebody pops up. That was very interesting to learn that. Yeah, maybe I stop here.
Well, I like that, because you are the first BOINC admin, who talks all alone about background of the project and so cool. Very long and detailed and very interesting. For 10 years already. And a little bit about my experiences with YOYO. I was also on Rechenkraftnet. It's a non-profit organization, and I left it again, but nowadays, when I have a problem, I contact YOYO, and then he fast, responds, let's say, and then he tries to solve my problem. He's very helpful. Yeah, so and that's a good trade because in for example in IRC, yeah, we have only two BOINC. Well, basically we have only one BOINC admin, yeah, that's YOYO, and then we have a second one that's Custom Miner, which has not released his BOINC project, yeah. But basically, YOYO is the only, yeah, BOINC admin from a whitelisted project who is also in the IRC channel, who is easy to reach. Yeah, when you have problems, it's cool. Another thing, what I like about his server is that he doesn't generate the working units well so much, which is a way to fight the cheating, you know, because if you don't produce or bunkering, let's say so during challenges, yeah, because then they cannot bunker and then the challenges are actually more fair. Yeah, so positive things I know about YOYO. And then I would say we will proceed with the questions. I will skip the questions which he answered already. Yeah, so yeah, perhaps you could tell a little bit about your projects specifically. Like you talk now more about YOYO, but you are also with Yafu in the Gridcoin whitelist. Yeah, so perhaps some short sentences also about it.
Okay, the Jafu project is, or the intention was just to have a test project where I frequently update the BOINC server code to see what is working, which bugs are newly introduced, and such things. And since I run this project, I thought, okay, don't do any stupid computation, do something which might be useful. So I'm running this Yafu application. This is yet another factoring utility, so where we do factoring for currently aliquot sequences. I don't know how to speak that out. So for some sequence numbers, we factor numbers between a length or up to a length of 140 digits, I think. And Tolo wrote now in the chat I should speak about this application. So I'm experimenting a bit in that Jafu project. What can I do and how far are the volunteers are going with me, let's say. And so in Yafu I have an application which requires 10 gigabyte of RAM. So that sounds much, and I think some people will now skip Yafu from their project list, but BOINC has a possibility, or the BOINC client checks if I start from the other way. In BOINC, you assign a RAM requirement to a work unit. So I assign to that work unit and a requirement to have 10 gigabyte of free RAM. And the client checks that. So if you don't have 10 gigabyte of RAM free on your computer, you don't get these work units. And if you have these work units, they are only started if you have 10 gigabytes RAM free. So, and it turns out that this more or less works. So I see some crashes on some computers. Don't know, maybe the computer has 10 gigabyte, or has, 12 or 16 gigabyte of RAM, but then it starts 4 work units at the same time. Maybe it's a problem. So, but basically it's working. So I saw, and that was also for me a test if BOINC can handle such requirements and checks properly, or mostly properly, the RAM requirements. So therefore, Yafu is now also running. So it's just a virtual machine on an old laptop currently.
Yeah, the Solo posted a picture about your server, which is basically on the laptop.
Yes. And you see that eraser on the left side?
You must tell this, or a special eraser.
With that eraser, I bring down the CPU temperature by 5 degrees.
Awesome.
You know, that laptop has not very good, so if it stands directly on the table, there's not much space between the fan and the table, so it cannot get enough air for cooling. So if you put an eraser on the laptop, then it gets more fresh air.
You should look into a laptop cooler. It definitely will help. more than a razor. It's better tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post a picture in the minutes, yeah, about it, so everybody can see it. But YOYO, you are also involved, with the papers the scientists publish? Yeah, I mean you get listed, yeah, as a contributing member. Do the BOINC users from your projects also get mentioned or listed somehow?
Currently not. So it's currently not. There's not a project where we run, let's say, thousands or millions of work units, and only in some of them there's a scientific result, so they can publish the finder. Usually we are, let's say, making something like a brute force run. So that is for Augur, and that is for also the other finished project. So in these papers just mentioned that it is done by a scientific volunteering distributed project.
Okay, thank you. The next question would be about company, but I've told it already. Basically, you are a member and the active member in the Reichenkraft. Perhaps you want to make a little bit more promotion about Reichenkraft.
Reichenkraft is non-profit organization or how was it founded? So some years back, so don't know, I think more than 10. There was a website in Germany about all distributed computing projects, so providing information in German for German-speaking people about distributed computing project. And after some time, we decided, so let's move to a non-profit organization that has some advantages. And so we founded a non-profit organization, Rechenkraft.net, with the goal to spread the knowledge of distributed computing to the volunteers and to the scientists. And that non-profit organization has currently around 70 members in German-speaking countries, so in Germany, Austria, and Swiss.
So basically they have also a forum and a wiki, where people can find information. So I joined them also and helped. So it's a very useful resource for German people, and it's used a lot. And also, as mentioned previously in the other hangout, the Rechenkraft team is also going to conferences, masses and so on, presenting their projects, and they also do once a year, I think, a meeting, YOYO, where you meet and then you barbecue and stuff like that,
Yes. So in Germany, the law for non-profit organization is a non-profit organization has to have an address. So we are basically organized in the internet. So we have some address, but we can't meet together each other every month, because we are spread around Germany and Austria and Swiss. But we have to make, according to the German law, once a year a member meeting. So in the past we did that in the internet. So we said, okay, you want to do that in the internet? That was accepted by German law. But since, 3-4 years, we say, okay, we have to meet face to face. So we just take a place in Germany, where we say, okay, there will be our member meeting. Everybody is invited, and we book some flats for that, and state what we did in the last 12 months and what is our goal and where we plan to go future, to which conferences and so on.
Thank you. I was reminiscing a little bit about the past. I didn't attend the barbecues, but I was at the one online session. Okay, so YOYO, how long do you plan to run your projects? You set clear priorities before. You said work has priority over it, but you are going to run the BOINC projects like forever, yeah?
Yes, there's no plan currently to shut it down.
Good. That's reassuring. And does your project have any milestone goals? Like in terms of time, or a working unit, or a batch of working units need to be completed until this point of time, or something like that?
I would say the distributed net project runs now a specific set of work units, so with a specific defined length. and we have, with a length of or runs these optimal golem rulers with a length of 28. And I think this project has currently finished, 20% of his task in the last maybe 2 or 3 years. So it will run for another, 5 years, 4 years maybe. And
Good.
and if we have found the solution for this length of 28, then there's also a length of 29, and so on. So I would say all these currently running projects have work endless, maybe. So,
Cool.
but it might
Good to
be
know.
that there's some project or somebody will contact me with an idea to run, 100,000 work units for something. Then I will do that, maybe.
So that's a good thing. I think we will add this also to the questions. Like you are basically offering that if people want to do a BOINC project, but they are not so experienced with server administration, they can contact you, yeah, and then you can run it for them.
So then we have to agree about some things. So what is the interface to the how do I get the work units? How do I send the results back, and so on. So how does the scientific application has to behave and such things.
Well, you actually touched on that in the last interview. Any kind of help that other people could get starting up other BOINC projects kind of helps BOINC overall, because if it runs out of projects, then everybody's screwed, right?
Well, if you're talking about if we run out of BOINC projects, Gridcoin will be in trouble. Not really. We could fall back on proof of stake, So if we had no projects left, we could still continue going. But I mean, there will always be more BOINC projects, but
cool,
and more applications, as YOYO admin said.
Or we could just make fake stuff to crunch.
No fake stuff.
Okay, let's proceed with the question. So, YOYO, how are you rewarding your users? For example, when YOYO is on the Gridcoin whitelist, yeah, and Yafo also. So basically, the users get a reward with Gridcoin, yeah. But are you rewarding users in another way? For example, personally, I know you give badges like every BOINC project, but do you do something otherwise also?
No. So I'm giving badges. So I think I was one of the first projects who introduced badges. I think together with Prime Grid. I don't know. I think so. And this badges stuff was then the base to get also into the BOINC server code. So I'm going to offer only badges. Let's say so.
Cool.
Okay, and. We talked already a little bit about your applications, So the next question would be about, do you have some recommendations for your different BOINC projects, working units? Like, this one runs better on Linux, and the other project is better suited for Windows, something like this. Can you give a recommendation?
That is difficult. Let's say I'm not so hardware agnostic. So I know that volunteers, some of them are very have deep knowledge of their hardware. That they know that on Intel processors that is better, on AMD processors that is better. If you have that amount of level 1 or 2 cache, then that might be better. So I leave that to the volunteers. So they find it out anyway. So what I'm doing usually is I'm joining all these or a lot of these forums of the volunteers just to read if they have any problem or if they find something out. But I don't have a special recommendation for any application of my projects, what runs where best. So I just can say that the Augur application has the most support, has support for the most operating systems. So even for a PlayStation 3, you can get an application. Or for Mac, for Intel 32, 64-bit, for Linux, for Windows, for Mac, yes, PlayStation, even Android. So I don't know. I can't give a recommendation for that.
Well, as you said, yeah, then probably people can just look into your forums, yeah, and then gather the information from there. Okay. Yeah. So, from your experience, after 10 years now of running BOINC time, yeah, what were the, when you didn't have work units anymore, what was the most common reason for this? What is like, was it, I can give some examples. For example, was it a hard disk crash, or was it that you mentioned before that your wife did reboot the PC, the laptop or something?
Maybe Yo-Yo, you can tell the story about Yahoo is whitelist for Yahoo is whitelisted.
What?
Do you know? Die Geschichte, also weil es jetzt um die Work-Units geht,
ja.
vielleicht, dass du kurz erklärst, wie es dir ging, wo Gridcoin in Yahoo Yahoo für Gridcoin gewitelistet wurde.
He's saying that I should tell about the story as I was asked that Yahoo will be whitelisted in Gridcoin, and somebody, I don't know who was it, he raised the question, or it was raised in the Gridcoin forum somewhere, oh, why whitelist this project? It has only, 200 work units. And I said, okay, that is right. It has only 200 work units, but it will generate another 200 work units when the threshold, when it go below, some threshold. So it will have always at least 200 work units.
Makes sense.
As I said, my experience was that to have a performance server, you need to have a small BOINC database. So why should I have millions of unsent work units if nobody fetches them? So 200 are enough. They are gone below 10, then I generate 200 another one. Yeah, so basically, regarding the question about no work units available, usually if I have no work units, then I have maybe problems to get them from the outsource of my project. So I'm just the proxy in between. But even there, I have some buffer, so I can. So for Orga zum Beispiel, I think I buffer work units for many weeks. So if my upstream is down, then I can fill the gap for 2 or 3 weeks. Even for the other projects, I have some buffering in. But it might be that the upstream is down, then I don't have work units on that special project.
Yeah, okay, then let's go to the BOINC server questions. Like, for example, how many users do you have about in your different projects? And for example, hints as with 10 years experience, yeah, what kind of hints would you give to new users, new BOINC admins? For example, buy good hardware or something like that.
Good erasers.
Yes, definitely. Okay, I have not counted now the users. I think in YOYO at home I have around about 6,000 to 7,000 active users. So I think in total it's, I don't know how much, but I'm mainly interested in the active users, not in the dead ones. So it should be 6,000 to 70,000 active users. In Yahoo, it's not so much. It's, I don't know, maybe 200 or so. So what I can give as experience to new BOINC admins, as I said, keep the BOINC database small. That is really a big thing to get the server performance. And what you should also do is think about your runtime of your work units. So your work unit should have a runtime of, let's say, around 5 hours. You will get problems if you have work units which run only for 1 minute. But then they are downloaded by all the clients, and then they always request new work, and this brings your server down. So if you have running work units for just a minute, then it's that. So ensure that the runtime of your work unit is long enough. I would say an optimum is at 5 hours, but even 10 are good. Otherwise, you have a problem with your server and your database small. Yes, and to keep your database small, just generate only some work units. So just to have enough for the next 15 minutes, let's say, and every 15 minutes check if there is enough work units there to be sent out. So I have a threshold at I don't know 1,000 or something like that in the YOYO Home, and if it's go below 1,000, and then I generate new one. I check this not me personally, my script checks this every 15 minutes. So. And even when you get the work units back and they are valid and verified that they are okay, then just remove them from the BOINC database. You don't have to keep them for weeks and months. So just, I would say, a week is enough, and afterwards delete them, and this keeps the database small and the performance of your server high. I checked during that race time, I checked why my server was so loaded, and it was not CPU, it was disk. It was writing updates of the database to disk. You have to see if you see how the BOINC database works. Yes, if you generate a work unit, one entry in the database is done. Then the transitioner comes and creates from that work unit so-called results. So next update in the database. If a user fetches this result, this is stored in the database that is now sent out to a user, so the next update. If the work unit comes back, next update in the database, so it's back. Then the work unit gets verified, next update in the database. So I have now at least 5 updates for a single work unit. So if your work unit runs only, let's say, 1 minute, and there's a user with, I don't know, maybe 8 CPUs, yes, then 8 cores. Then every minute he requests 8 work units, and all these 8 work units leads to multiplied by 5, so you have 40 updates in your database just for that single user, for that single host. So keep the work units long enough, at least 1 hour, best 5 hours, and delete work units fast in your BOINC server. Then you can deal with that also with a small server.
That's some good info, man.
I don't have big servers. I just smile when I hear that other projects have so big servers.
32 cores.
32 cores.
60, 128 gigs of RAM.
For what?
Couple of SSDs in RAID.
Yeah. No SSD. Okay, it's a software RAID in YOYO at home currently. It's a software RAID of hard disks. I think a RAID of 1.5 Tera, I think, but it's just because there are no smaller servers available on the market. It has 2 cores and 2 gig of RAM currently.
Yeah, man. I'm like BOINCing on stuff that's like 2 cores, a gig of DDR2. It's doing fine.
Yeah.
So, YOYO. What kind of help do you need for your BOINC projects? You know, if something Gridcoin could help you with, or other groups could help you with, is there something what you need?
Yeah, I'm currently not prepared for such questions. I think currently there's nothing where ad hoc came to my mind that I need something, but I will do it as I does it in the past. If I have some problem or I need some help or something like that, then I will announce it on the news section of the project.
Okay. The next question would be, what kind of security do you provide? The subtopics, I'll read them out, SSL implementation. Do you, VirtualBox you don't offer, this I know. Yeah. Do you protect your working units a little bit? And for example, do you have protection against spammers? So what kind of security do you provide? These were just examples, You can go more into detail about.
Okay. all the YAFU and YOYO Home provides SSL encryption, SSL access. So for YOYO Home, we have an own certificate of, don't know what was the certifying authority there. And for YAFU, I use this, what's it named? I don't know. The company who offers that free certificate here, I don't know. I lost the name now.
Let's Encrypt, yeah? Let's Encrypt.
Yes, Let's Encrypt. So which works very well and which is recreated every 3 months or something like that. For work unit protection, okay, there's some verification on this BOINC server side who checks if the work unit's results are valid. This is sometimes done by comparing results of different users and sometimes checking the result in some different way. And I also look every day into the, let's say, statistics of the teams and users and check if somebody gets too much credits or if something might go wrong and I have to retune or recheck some different stuff. Also, one point here on your list was issues with spammers. Yes, I had in the past, but it's, I don't know, 8 years back in YOYO Home, a lot of spammers. And therefore, I disabled the account creation via the website. So, and this was also a funny story. It came now to my mind. So, at one day, I came home and I saw that, don't know, 5,000 new users were created, which is a big amount for a day for YOYO Home at that time. So, and I checked what is going on, and I was watching the HTTP logs, and I saw that there's somebody creating new accounts every I think 3 new accounts every second or something like that. So I just had a tail running on the log of the page, and that is what to do. So my first attempt was just to rename that page. So I just renamed the PHP file so that he couldn't create any new account mail. But then I got a lot of error entries in my error log, so that's bad. So I made it other way around. So I recreated this PHP page and I just insert and sleep 10 there. So that, okay, now can create accounts, but each account he needs to wait for 10 seconds or something, or don't know, some timeout, some very long timeout. This was just the first counter measure, which I did immediately. So, and then I decided to remove the possibility to create an account on the web page. And I did it also from the beginning on YAFU. So I'm running with these that you need a code to create an account. So since that time, I don't had issues with spammers anymore. And I created some SQL scripts who checks specific conditions where I think this is a condition to find out in spammer. Usually, basic rule is that if there's a spammer, then he mostly does not have attached a computer to the project. That is one of the rules in my check. But since I disallow the creation of the web page, then I didn't have spammers anymore.
What about people that maybe swap the same computer between accounts with like floating average credit? Because I've seen on boinkstats.com people that don't have any hosts attached to their profile at all. The hosts aren't hidden, but they're getting credit for computers they don't even have.
Credits without computer?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people trying to spoof credit system to gain Gridcoin right now and stuff. I think they're half successful. That's one of the things I stumbled on.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet, so I haven't looked into that, let's say.
Yeah, if I can find one quickly, I'll make it for sure.
Usually, I would say a user who hasn't assigned a host to a project, is mostly a spammer and can be deleted, more or less.
Well, before deleting, you could also just ban them or block them, yeah, and then they could still, well, doesn't matter. If you delete them, you can recreate them, yeah. So if he can send you an email, you can just recreate it, yeah.
I don't physically delete him in the database. I just make some, say, maybe garbage entries somewhere, so which I can change afterwards back.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you answered also the... well, perhaps you want to go more in detail against cheating. I mean, you said you provide only a few working units, yeah? So this is a way. Other ways against, cheating you have found or in over the 10 years, what people have used or perhaps it's too sensitive information, to tell about your cheating ways or methods to the...
I think that there are ways where you can cheat, and I don't want to tell about them.
Yeah, of course. But it's good to know for us, that you are on it, yeah, and check for it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even the cheating and Gridcoin. So for me, I thought about in the past months and weeks about that I personally should not be part of Gridcoin. So I think it's a bad behavior if I, as a project admin, where I can very easily cheat my credits, to be part of the Gridcoin team. So I think that is not a well behavior. So therefore, I'm not in the team. Well, it's one reason.
Yeah, but actually, how should I say it? I'll say it. Basically, a BOINC admin can always create more accounts which nobody knows. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but we can never know. So it's a trust issue. Yeah. So it would be needed a task force by Gridcoin, which finds out some unusual, as you basically do with the working units, yeah. Someone from Gridcoin, a task force must be built, yeah, that checks every BOINC project for specific unusual behavior, like for example, suddenly new accounts popped up at begin or something like that. Because as you say, the danger is there. The BOINC admin has access over the database, and Gridcoin reads for the rewards, the statistics, the daily statistics. So BOINC admin can easily manipulate and, there is a danger.
Yes. So at the end, the cheater wants to get much credit. So at the end, you have to look close to the computer and people who have a big rug. So let's say. So that is basically what they want to achieve. So you don't have to check all users, I think. So you have to have a closer look to the people who have the most credits.
Yeah, and what do you like as a way, when let's say someone finds a cheater, should they post in your forum or would you like to be contacted by email?
I would like to be contacted by email. So the reason is not to hide it. The reason is more to avoid that other user going the same way.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Then I would say we are finished with the BOINC related questions. So now is an open floor. We give first YOYO the chance. YOYO, do you want to tell a little bit about some other aspects of your project? Or for example, Dastolo can mention something, or Quest, yeah? Anybody who is actually knowing YOYO, yeah? So an open floor, or others have some questions, BOINC related to project related to YOYO?
It's not entirely related to YOYO, but it's kind of related to BOINC. What is your perspective towards the monetization of BOINC computation, do you think it's okay for a commercial project to be created? Like customers come forward with some computation needs computed, they take a fee, and then you distribute the rewards to the volunteers or workers in this case. What's your perspective on this?
It's difficult to answer. So I think that if a project is commercial use, then you will lose a lot of volunteers, because a lot of volunteers don't want to spend their CPUs to somebody who gets money out of it. So that is I think, I don't know, I'm not sure, but currently there is no commercial project. But there's a different view to commercial project. I know that some companies run BOINC inside in their company, so it's also, let's say, commercial use of BOINC, but it's not an open project where you can participate. So I know that some years back, I think BASF or so was using BOINC internally. They have also in the medicine and pharmacy, they have a lot of computing requirements, let's say. So why not use all the office PCs there? So, but it's a closed project. You can't participate there. And I know from a startup company in France. In France, it is very popular to heat the flats with electricity, and that startup companies offers heater, electric driven heater, where you have 4 Pentium processors inside. So, and if you don't know heat, then they power up the processors and give them work. And they sell this computing power to companies, and with the money they get, they also give a part of it back to the owner of the heater, let's say. So that is, I don't know, I heard of that project 2 years back or 3 years back. I don't know if it's still available.
That's pretty cool. I think I've seen a similar kind of business plan, distribute out computers that are actually heaters, and I think in America, it's quite a cool idea. I know a lot of people in our community do use their computer rigs for heating. Like I've done it in the past, With regards to commercial projects, I don't mean as in the volunteers don't get nothing for their work. I mean as in, a customer comes forward with some data that needs crunched. They pay say 5 Gridcoin or something like that. The project takes 1 Gridcoin, and then the 4 Gridcoin are split up between the people that did the work. So there's a couple projects that may be doing this in the future, and whilst none have been created yet, we have already had some backlash. From users on the BOINC forum, for example, saying, "Oh, you're monetizing, BOINC computation." They don't like it and stuff. So thanks for answering the question. No, it's pretty cool.
There's a project, there's a CPID with the name Cloud and Heat. I think he or they got a magnitude of 1,000, at least a few weeks back. I can't find a link because RTM's Blog Explorer is not responsive. But
I've linked the website in the chat.
Yeah. There, Tim, thank you. Yeah, in the chat.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then let's dive into the Gridcoin related topics. Of course, the first question is easily answered. Yeah, before being contacted for the interview, YOYO already knew about Gridcoin. Yeah, but perhaps YOYO can tell a little bit. When did you hear first about Gridcoin? Yeah, what was the event when you?
Das Tolo was the event.
Das Tolo. What did Das Tolo do?
Das Tolo joined Rechenkraft forum and wrote about Gridcoin. So, and Yes, that was my first contact with Gridcoin, and then I thought, yes, and also I think the leaderboard of Rechenkraft things, that is a cool idea. That's not just creating heat for bitcoins. It's just creating heat and do some useful scientific work. That is it's a real cool idea. To bring people, or to give people some rewards in form of Gridcoins for their scientific work. So the first contact was Das Tolo. Then I met Das Tolo in Berlin and on some conferences and so on. And yes, and this was my first contact with Gridcoin. And then later I was contacted by somebody regarding the whitelisting of YOYO and Yahoo.
I think it was the Make Fair in Hanover, not Berlin.
Hanover? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And 2015.
Maybe.
Oh, okay, so quite new. Yeah, I thought perhaps much earlier. Okay, cool. And you basically answered already the question, what do you think of Gridcoin? So then, do you have something in mind, anything that could that Gridcoin could do better, you know? Because I think you have also the wallet installed.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have some suggestions to the wallet, or, you know, to the blockchain system itself, or something like that.
So I'm not an expert in Gridcoin. I don't understand it fully, let's say. So especially these stake and proof of something and so on. I found it a little bit, let's say, difficult to get it running. So to get the wallet running somehow, it was, a little bit strange. And I use it all only. So I'm not crunching in the Gridcoin team. So I'm just running the wallet. So I think this is called an investor or something like that. And I think that is also a later question from you. That the team requirement to be in the Gridcoin team. So I understand that it has a technical, let's say, background to handle the magnitude and the stuff the Gridcoin users are doing better. But I think the requirement to be in the team, other way around, the BOINC people who are like the association with their team, they are somehow addicted to their group, and they don't want to leave their family, let's say, and to join another team. So I don't know if this is important in sense of getting more users to BOINC. Okay, it's important to getting more users to Gridcoin, but also the goal of Gridcoin is to get more users to BOINC. And these users which are in other teams are already in BOINC, so you can't get them as new computing power. So yeah, so I think the team requirement is not good for the users who are already in their team family. Let's say they don't want to leave it.
Yeah, I agree. With regards to why it's in place, so we initially had a centralized approach to gathering statistics going to NetSoft. So we changed that for a distributed statistics gathering method, which is basically every client goes out to each of the BOINC projects and grabs the statistics, right? So currently that's not a big deal. Like probably only have like 500 people to maybe 1,000 people that are participating in the creation of the neural network, which is effectively gathering the statistics on a daily basis for all of the whitelisted projects. So that's not a lot for an individual team, but if we were to expand that to all projects, that means that, say for example, SETI at Home, it means downloading several hundred megabytes to a gigabyte, right, of statistics data per client, which if we expand to the entire BOINC community, it's, you know, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of users. So it quickly ramps up to being a DDoS attack, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to figure out how to remove if the community, wants to go ahead and remove the team requirement, which I do support the idea of, we need to figure out how to scale back the amount of people that are gathering the statistics. Perhaps voting on individuals to represent the rest of the network for providing this statistics gathering phase on a daily basis. Whilst being able to scale up to the rest of the entire BOINC community. I think it's the next step for Gridcoin, especially with all the other cryptocurrencies that are going to be popping up in the BOINC community. That's going to be competition towards Gridcoin. So, yeah.
Could there be like mirrored decentralized servers?
Well, that's something we could potentially do. We could maybe have, mirror the xml.gz, and that way, but then you're really relying on, an individual. So it's not really fixing anything. I think delegates or witnesses are better,
Oh my. Enter Graphian.
Okay. If somebody's interested, we have also a lot of discussion about that in the forum. Yeah, so we can pinpoint you to some places. I would like to go back to the question you said. It was difficult to get the wallet running. So you said you are an investor. Yeah. So basically, you couldn't combine your BOINC with the Gridcoin wallet. Yeah. Was it that the problem? Or something
No,
else?
I haven't combined my BOINC cross-project ID with the Gridcoin wallet. So I downloaded the Gridcoin client and started it, and somehow it didn't happen anything. So then I got some hint that I should download the blockchain, so from somewhere. So otherwise, this would take days or weeks until it's synchronized. So I think that should be, more automated or more written somewhere that this should be done to get in faster sync. So the initial startup was complicated.
I see. Well, it could be done that, for example, the snapshot could be downloaded at the same time, yeah, and done. But it's a little bit about trust issues, if somebody wants to use the snapshot, because it may be, in some far future or something, yeah, be manipulated or something. But it can be done. Technically, it can be done, yeah. The snapshot can be included, or the bootstrap, could be included, and then it could read it much faster and would be done faster. Yeah, that could be. I'll write it as a task for suggestion. Faster sync, immediate download of Snap. Okay. Any other things you would like to see improved in Gridcoin, be it organization-wise or wallet or something?
I think for the organization also, my view is too less. I don't have a deep view into the organization. How is that done or something?
Okay. Then the next question, I also know that you accept donations, Gridcoin donations on YOYO and Yahoo, which is cool. What decision led you to make a donation button like that?
That I like the idea to spend computing power for scientific research and get coins for that. So it's much better than for instance, Bitcoin, where you just create heat. And so I find it better, and therefore, why not just create a wallet and make a donation option on the webpage?
Great. And another question to that: did you get any backlash from some BOINC groups regarding that? Because some BOINC groups see Gridcoin as let's say the devil who wants to monetize everything. Yeah, extreme view. Yeah, but it may be because you are basically the only one who has a Gridcoin donation button. Yeah, and you are a BOINC project, so perhaps you got some negative experience because of that. I'm just asking. Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't read that somebody of the BOINC world is against, or let's say Gridcoin is somehow the devil and wants to monetize it. I think the most things against Gridcoin I heard is that it's a team requirement. So I think there are a lot of BOINCers who would join or who would get Gridcoin for their computational work. So otherwise they have to spend the money from their pocket. So why not get something back? So but they are against that requirement to be in the Gridcoin team.
I just thought of another question I can ask you, but I will ask it a little later about that. So or I'll ask you this immediately. Do you personally run BOINC clients? For example, which projects do you support besides your own? So for example, I like the idea of this BOINC project, and I'm also supporting that. Do you have something like that?
I don't know if you would be happy about my answer.
Okay, I don't know.
Let's say, since many years I don't have a computer anymore, so I only have laptops. And usually these laptops are getting very hot until they are switched off. So basically, since some years I don't run so much BOINC projects. So I try to run at least for some credits each new BOINC project, just to check what happens in the BOINC world, which new projects came up, what do they do regarding their applications, how do they handle their customers, so the volunteers on their forum and such things. And basically on my laptops I run only projects which are not CPU intensive, so based off that heating requirements. And okay, on the servers there's something running, mostly my own projects, and currently and before I was very interested in, let's say, physics and astronomy. So I was a fan of Einstein at home, basically. So I don't like SETI at home, so I know that is somehow the mother of BOINC projects. Don't know. They did a lot for getting publicity and so on. That is really appreciated, but I don't like the project itself. So I only have, 150 credits or something like that. And yes, and I run mostly non-CPU intensive projects and my own, although YOYO and Yahoo.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about, that we run challenges. Do you have some improvement or wishes about the challenges for YOYO? Do you want them longer or some other things, or you want to be noticed much faster, or some ideas, suggestions you have?
I'm not saying that it's not done, yes, but I would like that the project admin is informed of the challenge. So at least if the project is a small project. So let me say from my experience, at the beginning as YOYO was small, yes, and there was a challenge done by the big German and French team. It just created, let's say, 20 times more work units were processed on that time. So if you make a challenge on a big project like SETI, Einstein, World Community Grid, I don't know even if they see that in their work distribution. Yes, but if you attack a small project which is running at home, then you may blow up the work sending by a factor of 20 or even 100. And that might be a big problem for the admin. So at least you should inform the admin, 2 weeks before.
Okay. Well, we informed them. Actually, I informed them. If you know, I posted in the forum. So it was a good thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, and would you like, for example, you prefer like 3-day challenges or 1-week challenges? Or what do you prefer more?
Yeah. Longer is better because more work units on my project, but not really. I think it should be done to the teams who are competing against each other. So they should decide how long they want to do that. I'm not. It can be a day, it can be a week, it can be a month. So it doesn't.
Okay.
Month-long challenge sounds cool.
I think you cannot do that. A customer, you cannot do that, or? I mean, it's just 1 week.
What, 1 day or versus 1 week? Well,
How long is the longest you can do?
1 week's the longest with BOINC stats. Yeah.
I think the main issue is that if you make a challenge and you rely on the statistics which is generated from the project, then you have the problem that the user can also bunker and buffer work units before start of the challenge. So that has more impact if the challenge is short. So if you have a 1 day challenge, but the user can also already, 4 weeks in advance crunch on work units, which they then deliver in that 1 day. Might crash the server then. Don't know. Yes, so I think buffering has less impact if the challenge runs longer. But this is a change on the BOINC server side somehow, that there is somehow developed an option that for races and challenges that there's some special kind of statistics which considers only work units which are downloaded after the start of the challenge. I think only Prime Grid is doing that. But the not project initiated challenges, as you can do them on BOINC stats, they rely on the statistics of the project, and the user can crunch work units already before the start of the challenge.
Cool. That makes sense.
Okay, we are through with the questions from the template. Yeah. Does anybody else have questions, comments, or YOYO wants to tell something additionally? Now is your time.
YOYO, what is your perspective towards the new BOINC project governance? So after the NSF funding ended, I think 2 years ago now, they switched to a community-based, project governance model. Has anyone had any kind of interaction with them? We've reached out to them in the past, didn't hear back from them. I'll just quickly link you to them.
I have a connection to that board, let's say. So one of our members of Rechenkraft.net is Christian Bier is in that board. So let's say, since there is no more full-time job on developing the BOINC server and client and stuff, I think it's less work done currently on that side. So what is needed are definitely more developers who are, making changes on the server side, on the client, and so on. Currently, there are, I think, 2 or 3 people who are working for Einstein, World Community Grid, and maybe Zeti, are doing some changes still in their daily work. But I think it's too less. So it would be better if somebody could work full time, or if there are more volunteers who work on the requirements and changes. That is my view.
Cool. With regards to BOINC development, what would you say is like a high priority?
Difficult. Haven't thought about that.
But perhaps Kasminer can tell about the bcrypt stuff.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly get a link for this. Give me 2 seconds.
So Kasminer found a bug?
Yeah, it's not so much a bug as it is like a depreciated kind of like a security mechanism. So currently, the default password hashing mechanism that's used is MD5ing and combining that with Assault. So with today's standards, it's not really amazing. Ideally, we'd go with bcrypt or Argon 2i or something like that. There has been concerns raised regarding like whether or not this would require like a mandatory upgrade of BOINC clients, because apparently passwords are hashed client side and then sent to the server, so that would require hashing of a new algorithm, and then also taking into account that maybe not all BOINC projects would upgrade, so we'd have to, handle the old password hashing mechanism alongside the new password hashing mechanism and stuff like that. So obviously it's not a concern unless like a BOINC project gets hacked and like the database gets leaked or something like that. But I mean, I think it is quite an important concern just from a security angle.
Okay. Yes, I think you're right. It's from security perspective, it's right important. I think what David and others makes them a bit reluctant against it is that it breaks compatibility. So
YOYO is off, or am I off? No sound?
Yeah, you just cut out there for a sec. Just to give you a background on this, so I originally raised this on the BOINC dev mailing list back in like September of 2016. So back and forth kind of discussion up until like mid-November, and it's kind of like died down. And every once in a while I'm just pinging the same GitHub issue, just kind of trying to get a bit more, just keeping it going a wee bit. I do think there are quite large issues in the way, specifically like trying to get people to actually upgrade their client without, if we were to force a mandatory and people didn't upgrade their client, then potentially, you could knock a large amount of computing power off the network, which would suck. It's not what we want to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, then we will wait for YOYO. Does somebody have some other things to talk about YOYO, or some, where we can also say, okay, now we stop and make unofficial time until YOYO returns? YOYO wrote his internet is offline. Okay.
How did he write that?
by SMS. By SMS. he called him on the phone.
Yeah.
By pigeon.
Or WhatsApp or something maybe.
He wrote it in Slack with his mobile phone.
Yeah.
Okay, then perhaps we can also conclude it here. Yeah. Or let's say we wait 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
He's back.
He's back.
There we go.
Yeah.
You spoke too soon.
Tim was
Erkan.
just Tim was just saying that he will come back. So, I don't know. Give him a sec.
So let's ping him if he's alive.
Welcome back, YOYO.
Hey, man.
Oh, his mic is dead.
Oh my God. Okay, but YOYO, you hear us? Yeah, you can hear us. Yes. Okay. Cool. Well, then I hear. Okay. So then I would say then we finish it here. Yeah. I mean, we have done the questions also. Yeah. I'd like to thank you for this impromptu session. Yeah. It was very interesting with your 10 years experience. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks for attending, bro.
Thank you.
And of course, you are invited to make another one with your lots of stories. Yeah. You can make a second one.
Attend the hangouts
Anytime.
as well.
Indeed.
Okay, then let's stop here. Yeah, and thank you very much, everybody, to all the 12 people who came.
Cool.
Cool.
Woo.
Yeah, it was very nice.